What if I told you that you already have everything that you need to create the life that you want? That your strengths and gifts are already within you. You just have to recognize them. So many of us waste years trying to fix our weaknesses. But what if the real key to success is focusing on what we already do best? I used to believe that I wasn't talented because I wasn't the loudest person in the room. But over time, I realized that my ability to deeply listen and connect was a strength. One that changed my career and my relationship. By the end of this episode, you'll have clarity on what your strengths are, understand why they matter, and you'll learn how to use them to build a more fulfilling life. So today, let's shift our focus. Instead of what's wrong with us, let's explore where our true gifts lie. Knowing your gifts and strengths matter because they lead to things like more confidence in your decision making, less comparison because you know what's uniquely yours, and living authentically rather than trying to be somebody you're not. Imagine playing a video game but ignoring what makes the character special. It's the same thing with life. You have to know your natural abilities so that you can win at what's meant for you. And a lot of people seem to think that strengths are big things like leadership and public speaking, but they can also be things like being a great listener, a problem solver, having a calming presence, or recognizing things that other people miss. So how do you actually figure out what your strengths are? When I was in this process trying to figure out what my strengths and natural talents and gifts were, I really didn't know where to turn or where to look, but I was able to figure it out, and I'm going to break down the steps that I followed so that you can too. For years, I thought that my biggest strength was just being nice, which didn't seem special if I'm being honest. But then I realized that my empathy made me a great friend, a trusted advisor, and someone people turn to for guidance. First, you have to start with self-reflection. And these are the 5 questions I asked myself to figure this out. Number 1, what do people always compliment me on? Think back to when someone's compliment you out of the blue and it might not seem like a big deal. 2, when do I feel most in flow? So engaged that time flies by. Number 3, what challenges have I overcome that gave me unique strengths? Number 4, what do I love learning about even when no one's forcing me? What topics, books, or research can you get lost in? And number 5, if my younger self could see me now, what would they admire most? Use these 5 questions to self-reflect, and I guarantee you'll come away with some answers. Looking at your past experiences will also help you identify your strengths and gifts. Think back to something difficult you overcame. Maybe you struggled with confidence, but now you're really good at uplifting other people. For example, I was in a relationship that ended pretty bad, and we both were so afraid to hurt the other's feelings that we tiptoed around a lot of the conversations that needed to be had. Communication and conversation is 2 of my greatest strengths because of that experience. List 3 of your past experiences and what strengths they help you develop. Your strengths often come from your struggles, so even the hardest times serve a purpose. And lastly, getting external feedback is another way to identify your strengths and gifts. Ask 2 or 3 of your closest friends what they think your biggest strengths are. Ask them, what do you think I do well that I might not see in myself? A friend once told me I had a way of making people feel safe. I knew that people felt comfortable talking to me, but I never considered that to be a strength. And when she told me that, it changed how I saw myself. When you get that external feedback and ask people what they think your greatest strengths are, it helps because others often see your gifts before you do. Now that you have a clear picture of your strengths, let's talk about actually using them. First, you have to stop downplaying your gifts. I used to say, oh, it's nothing whenever somebody would compliment me on my ability to problem solve. But the truth is, that's a gift, and one that's helped me so much in all areas of my life. One of the biggest blocks when it comes to thinking about our strengths is that we think it's not special. Everyone can do it. But just because it's easy for you does not mean it's easy for everyone else. Someone who's naturally gifted at organizing might think that's not a real skill. But for others, it's a lifesaver. So stop downplaying your gifts. Instead, align them with your life goals. After you complete the previous steps, write down your top 5 strengths. And for each one, ask, how can I use this more in my work, relationships, and personal growth? For example, if your strength is creativity, use it to bring fresh ideas to your job or passion projects. If you're naturally empathetic, maybe mentoring or coaching is a path for you. Whatever your strengths are, align them to your life goals and what you want for yourself. It's one thing to know your strengths, but the real magic happens when you own them. Start celebrating and expanding your strengths and gifts. Give yourself permission to shine. You ever notice how little kids have no problem saying what they're good at? And then unfortunately somewhere along the lines, they learn to downplay themselves? Yeah, that happened to both you and I, but that stops now. Don't let the fear that we all experience of thinking how people are going to perceive us if we do acknowledge our gifts. No, you're not arrogant. No, you're not too much. No, you don't think you're better than anybody. But yes, you will be confident in what's yours. Owning your strengths is not about bragging. It's about honoring the unique value you bring to the world. And every day you have to tell yourself and affirm to yourself, I'm allowed to take up space. I bring something valuable just by being myself. And I'm not sure if you guys can hear the ice cream truck. That's how you know the heat is picking up and it's getting nice outside. Spring, what's up? But back to what I was saying. Don't let anyone make you feel like you can't take up space and you don't have anything of value to bring to the world, because you do. Your strengths today might be totally different from what they were 5 years ago, and that's okay. Growth is a part of the process. I challenge you to try something new this week that aligns with your strengths. This week, I'm going to be true to myself and challenge myself to do the same thing. One of my strengths is my outlook on life. No matter what happens, I always have a positive, optimistic outlook, and the past 2 weeks have been really tough for me. But I'm going to challenge myself to have faith that everything is working out in my favor. Let me know in the comments how you plan to challenge yourself this week. We are at the the end of the episode, but let's wrap it up with some key takeaways. Remember, your strengths are already within you. You just need to recognize them. Strengths aren't always big and flashy talents. They don't have to be public speaking. They include qualities and characteristics like kindness, patience, and problem solving. And the best way to grow and evolve when it comes to this is to lean into what you naturally do well. Your gifts are yours for a reason, and the world needs what you bring. So don't be afraid to own and develop them. Don't forget to do the self-reflection exercise and ask the people closest to you what they think your greatest strengths are. If you need more help with this, you can DM me or leave a comment down below. And don't forget to like this video so that I know that you enjoyed it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. I'll see you then.